Hey, Nike Tim Sadio King, and my guests are arriving. Today I sit down with a sexually liberated person, Tswana Liena.
There is nothing more sexy to a man in a marriage or to a husband than a wife that wants him.
Yes, the spiritual leader.
Use sex to strengthen your love.
A guy who struggled with sexual issues.
And I remember saying to myself, Vuga wena, wake up.
And a sex expert.
If we have to make sex always, it has to be sex appealing, then we're missing the point.
Yeah, right.
Baby.
What do you think?
How shiny, how shiny, how shiny. Most of you know me as a stand-up comedian.
I saw a guy who had a sign that said, "I'm so angry, I made a sign." What?
Ntho e sa tsebeng ke gore ke le timer, ya jola, and ke nagana wait for maybe one day le nna ke tla ba husband.
It's rough.
Hey, re tla bona. Join me as I find out what happens after the vows. Hey, today's episode is gonna be hot and steamy. We are talking about the things that couple enjoy the most. Hey, topic ya today. Whew. And I get why I record Roy. Let's swing at the same time. Hot chaser today. But before we get into it, I'd like us to watch something. So please have a look.
Babe. Babe, hey.
Chakarumba.
Ndoni.
Thought you were Lisilo there for a second.
Well, I thought we could not.
Looked like you were fighting with zombies in a chalk factory and you lost the fight.
Baby, don't be like that.
At least try something sexy, no lingerie. You're wearing baggy pajamas like you're in a 90s hip-hop music video.
But, babe.
Okay, maybe let me go get some water.
And then you did
Chakarumba, mama. Chakarumba. Nearly killed me there.
Babe, how about now?
You really gonna do this?
Yeah.
You're gonna do it like the ghosts?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 5 seconds to run away.
Oh.
I'm yours. If you can catch me, catch me.
All right.
Shop.
All right. Are we doing that?
5 seconds.
I'm your wife.
5.
You guys are sabotaging women here, ne?
That's what I want to talk about because it's not just women, it's us as well.
It's almost like men always want to pin their lack of sex drive on how women look, like as if now that woman, the color mind she has is a problem. And Lilona, when you are there and you are looking like a monster and whatever.
But that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say it's not just the ladies. You know,
it's not just the ladies.
You know, yes, Lilona, you have color mind. Sometimes you're wearing a mgusha to bed and, a political party shirt. you know what I mean? We also the same.
Yeah.
We also the
you
same.
You guys are not always handsome. Let's get that
Exactly.
clear. Bottom line, you guys are not always handsome.
Yes.
I disagree.
No. Listen, even when I can dress, like I can just imagine. No. So it's really, if we have to make sex always, it has to be sex appealing, then we're missing the point. Because we always gonna catch each other at times when we can, like especially if you have kids. Listen, sometimes you might be doing gardening or a bit overall. This is the opportunity. Kids are away 5 minutes, I've sent them for bread. Hunk, go. So we always try and want to create this red bottom lingerie, heels. And it's not always the case. Sometimes it's in between the cooking.
Is it us
No,
or the
but
media?
what I'm saying is that let's understand the circumstances.
You know what it is? You actually touched on it briefly just now, which brings me to my question, which is, does it happen that the fire in marriage runs out?
It does. If you're not intentional about replenishing it. Every fire goes out if you don't put more wood, more coals, whatever it takes to keep it burning. So you have to be intentional about keeping the fire burning. Don't stop exploring, don't stop spicing up. Once you stop, it won't be long, the fire will go out for sure.
Renska?
You know, life happens.
Yes.
Life happens. Once you get married, there's skits. There's a hope to run. There's a whole different family dynamic. There's a whole different responsibility, financial responsibility, emotional responsibility. And sex kind of gets left behind. And it's actually important that you make it a priority. Sex has to be intentional. Even if you have to diarize it, just like you do a meeting. On Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, we're having sex. On Saturday morning, even if it has to get to that point, it is important that you don't just put it on the back burner and when you have time. Because you know what, unless you make time, you will never have time.
I love the fact that you brought that up because some people might view diarizing sex as it's no longer spontaneous, it's no longer intimate. Tati Katiri, la diarize go high.
Go high.
Do you diarize?
No, we just.
Whenever.
Dalela.
You don't have to because you make time.
In the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
You make
5
time
o'clock.
for it, right?
You see, I always say to my wife, it's important that we have sex. That you must understand. The same way, it's important that we must pay the children's school fees.
Or eat.
We must have sex.
Yes.
If you don't feel like it, it's fine. Say to me, I don't feel like having sex. I'm not gonna get mad at you.
Katide, I want to know, in your marriage, would you say there's one person who wants the other person more? Is it a balanced thing, or is it maybe you always wanting your wife, or maybe is it your wife who's always wanting you, or do you feel like you guys have a balance?
I'm the wanter. Yeah, no, if I could. If I
knew
could.
this before I asked the question,
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
I would not have breakfast. Who needs breakfast? Who needs dinner? 1 meal a day keeps the doctor away. No, because another thing, I genuinely love my wife. And I think she's hot, man. She's got C-section scars and whatnot. I love those damn those scars are mine. You understand?
Hell yes.
And I believe that you said it. We have to be intentional. You understand? When you're married, a lot of things that you do within marriage are intentional. Sometimes they don't make sense. You understand? So they don't make sense. You know, you'd be sitting there watching Man United play against Liverpool, and Liverpool is losing.
Yes,
and
this sounds like
there's
a good
5
match.
minutes left, and then what? There's an erection. 5 minutes or 5 minutes. 5. It's like I shall see Manchester United later. Va, come back. Even if you lost, but you're here.
You're happy.
You're here. And listen, guys, we have to speak about sex.
Yeah.
Yes.
The generation before us did not speak about sex because of tradition, because of religion, because of many things. Understand? Even people believe that if you speak about sex publicly, people will bewitch you so that you don't perform hogwash.
No, I hear you, Mren. I hear you. Renska, how important is it for couples to have an adventurous sex life?
Very important. I think sex is very underrated in the marriage. It's just as important as what communication is. It's just as important as what trust is. And for it to be adventurous is even more important because you're going to be having sex with the same person for 20, 30, 40 years. And you've got to keep it exciting.
Yeah, when it comes to intimacy, I think we all have our different views on what works and what doesn't work. What I want to know is, does the spice in marriage run out? Does the spiciness in the sex in marriage run out at some point? But before we answer that, I want us to watch something.
I'm ready to answer that.
Tito no fefe.
I'm the freak. Yes, it's important to have a spicy sex life. I mean, when you look at the age gap between Jakes and I, it's 15 years. So you can already imagine that I'm the one who tries the new stuff. So
I wouldn't necessarily say that they need to have a spicy and adventurous life. I think it's important that intimacy is there. and that you express it in different ways, and that's one of the ways that you need to express it.
Look, it's important, I feel, for both people in the relationship to have the sex that they both want to have.
If I keep my husband happy, there's no reason for him to go outside.
Mrena Katide,
Yes, sir.
my leader.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Amen. As a spiritual man, my brother. Religion in this association, sex is like a conservative thing. Do you agree with this?
I disagree.
You disagree, Mrena?
Sex is nice.
Oh.
Sex.
Coach KB.
No, sex is
Mrena,
nice.
tell us, or sex is nice.
Sex is nice, bro.
Yes.
We need to move away from this thing of locking sex as only a baby-making thing. You understand?
No, I hear you, Mrena. I hear you. Mrena Lhololo.
Yes, sir.
My brother, in your journey, there was a point in your life where you struggled sexually. What happened there?
Actually, I was heavily depressed. So one of the things that depression makes you do, you become irritable, you become aggressive, you become like you like everyone. Even if someone embraces you out of love, it feels like they're embracing your open, like your skinned body. It's like they are touching your wound. So that's why even no matter how loving you are to a person with depression, there's something with his mindset that sort of filters what you do and finds pain even in the kindest act of affection. So I would be very much aggressive, and that would spoil our sex life. And then I decided to go for treatment and to get antidepressants. And guess what happened? Antidepressants, they did manage to suppress whatever the depression and the anxiety. But
things.
with the depression, they suppressed the sex drive as well. I started having weak erections or sometimes no erections at all. So it was sort of some kind of dysfunction. One day we were on the road with my wife, and she suggested, she said, let's pull over by the wayside and have a quickie very quickly. I was so excited. And the man was dead, he was asleep. And I remember saying to myself, Fuga, when I wake up, the erection was weak, I get so discouraged, sort of allowing this negative definitions of myself as a man who can please a woman and all those things.
So you started internalizing all of that and blaming yourself.
Absolutely.
So to ask you a question, did it like make you feel like less of a man then? Like you are not, did it take away from your masculinity or your...
I'd assume so.
Your...
Erections of power.
Yeah, like I feel less like a man, you know? And that must have been really hard on the relationship as well.
Well,
because...
not hard. But...
But it's interesting to see how the pressure men put on themselves sexually, right?
Yeah. Very much so.
It literally defines you. I mean, there are days when I'm not able to perform as a woman. I don't get easily aroused, and I don't bring it back to myself and say, I'm such a horrible woman.
Oh, we take it so hard.
Like, I know. Why,
We
guys?
take it very hard.
I guess we can compare it to how women body shame. You know, he's looking at my C-section, he's looking at my girl, he's not looking at anything.
Yes.
You know, he's just so focused on the actual sexual act. He's not to you. In the moment, you're gorgeous, but women body shame like that. And I suppose in a non-performance way, it's the same as what we like. I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too
But
that.
it's also this thing, men feel like the biggest part, the biggest thing they can give us is pouncing and pouncing. Do you understand? Like they feel like the biggest thing you can. Sometimes it's just to hold me. Yes. Sometimes it's just to kiss me passionately. Sometimes, I think you put too much pressure on the
actual bang.
Yeah. In that moment when you couldn't even get the erection, there's a lot more you could have done without bringing it back to you.
I understand, but you have to understand, we have a direct link. We link romance directly to sex.
That's what I'm saying. There's a misconception. Let's change that.
You
So
guys-
even when you can't get an erection, we can still use you.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. I read somewhere and I heard somewhere that when it comes to sex, women need a reason, men need a place. Traditionally, it's always seen as the men in the relationship that seem to have a high sex drive and stuff like that. So what I want to know, Renske, is how important is it for ladies to also show that side of them in a marriage, that I too have a high sex drive?
I think once a woman actually starts looking at sex as not just the duty or something she's doing for her husband or something she's doing in the marriage, but looking at it as a pleasurable thing for herself as well, and becoming selfish when having sex, I think then the sex drive is there from both sides. Because women, we suppress our sexuality, we suppress our desires, because you don't want to be perceived as being loose or cheap or out there or whatever. And what women need to realize is there is nothing more sexy to a man in a marriage or to a husband than a wife that wants him.
Yes. Yes.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Really?
Amen. Amen. So here's what I want to find out, because I'm also, yes, I'm on this journey, but I'm also playing the part of the viewer at home, So there are certain things that I always believe that we learn from this, and there's a lot that we can take away from this. So I want to find out from each of you, and I'll start with you, Lehlonolo. What were some of the solutions you had when you were experiencing the difficulties you were in your marriage? What were some of the things you did to fix it?
Right. The first thing is being honest about the problem with my wife, and then inviting her into my space. Because inviting her into my space means, help me. Let's find a solution together. Let's work around this together. And then, I of course, I had to speak to my psychiatrist about it, that, you know what, you are healing me here, but you are hurting me down there. So how do we balance the scales? But then I realized that it was not within the prerogative of the psychiatrist to help me with my weak erections or my low sex drive. So I had to talk to a male specialist, a doctor specializing with men's health, and that's where I began to get my treatment. It was quite expensive, and then it took I think around 6 weeks, and then it started kicking in, and I started seeing the difference.
Tate Katide, what should men know about sex?
It's nice.
Listen, besides Monate Wawon, what should we as gents, what should we know and understand about sex?
Okay, so men must understand that sex is a very powerful tool. They can either use it to destroy themselves, destroy their partners, or destroy the family, or destroy communities, or use it to help better their partners, themselves, and even communities. If you're healthy and you're having a healthy sex life, you become a better citizen. You understand? One of the biggest problems that really makes me cringe is the use of scary words when men talk about sex, like lomntana ngiyamhlaba. You understand? Yamshaya. You understand? That needs to change. Yeah, that needs to change. That we must beautify this sacred. Sex is still sacred, by the way. No matter what we say, it's still a sacred activity. We must still hold it in high regard. But within marriage, to the husbands out there, use sex to strengthen your love.
Renske, what are some of the things we can do to keep spicing up our sex lives?
Speaking purely from a woman's perspective, it's so important for me to have confidence. Okay, so if I feel good about myself and I feel good about the way I look, I'm more open towards sex, I'm more easily aroused. And so I think it's really important for women to not just get sexy because it's sexy time. Feel powerful, feel good about yourself all the time. Don't buy lingerie to just wear to bed for your husband. Wear it under your clothes to work every day. It makes you feel powerful. And a confident woman is an attractive woman.
Coach KB, I wanted to know from you, how important is sex to a relationship? Like, what is the value of good sex in a relationship?
Look, I don't even want to bring it to good sex. What is the value of connection? What is the value of connection in your relationship? Can you function, me and you, can we function without the connection? No, we won't. You know, we won't function without the connection. It doesn't work. So the value of connection ultimately leads us to better things, better sex, better communication, better relationship, better, you know. But the thing is, we prioritize in the hierarchy of needs. Sex is up there for us. And, you know, there was a study that was done where there was a direct link to a man's financial account balance and to their sex drive. So meaning, one way or another, without you even realizing. Check even, when do you have sex the most in your house? Is it month end? Is it payday?
Month
like
end.
Month end.
Month
and then
end.
there, when it's dry, like 2 days
Kevin
before
Campbell
payday,
is
when there's like
on.
10 rands in the house, you know? Do you understand? So there's a direct link to a lot of things, even pressure at work, even family, and now we've just seen as well, even medication.
Yes.
You know, but we don't explore those things. We just are very quick to say, it's not happening. You know what? I'm done with him. You know? But when your marriage is stuck together, make it work, fix it, do something. Let's talk about it. Now that we know your medication, what else? Is there other supplements, other vitamins that we can take? But if you don't communicate and you keep it to yourself, you're going to die alone, you know, inside, and your wife is not going to know. But you need to get in a space where you say, wife, look, I think this is the problem. I've spoken to the doctor, and unfortunately, this is how it's going to affect us.
I have literally learned so much here today. Because I think we all have a certain idea of what sex is. And a lot of us who aren't married yet think about, our fear is, will the sex be the same when I get married? You know? Not realizing certain things like communication. That communication is key. It starts in communicating. I love the fact that we touched on intimacy and the fact that intimacy could be so many other things other than sex. And one of the things I'm going to take away today that was very beautiful was you had said that use sex to strengthen your relationship. Use it to strengthen your love. Use it to strengthen your bond. Like I said, guys, today's episode is going to be hot and steamy, and that's exactly what it was. Thank you to my amazing guests for joining us here today on After the Vows. And you can continue the conversation with us on all our social media platforms. From me, Mpho, thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.